Communication is an absolutely fundamental skill in life. Learning how to navigate difficult or uncomfortable situations is a key skill. One of my previous roles was as an assistant manager in a busy flagship retail store. Can you imagine the conversations I lived through? How to fire someone nicely, how to ask someone to wear deodorant, and that's before we even get to telling the customers that they cannot have a refund and that they must leave the store because they're being abusive towards my staff. My most basic tip on human communication is to consider what you are actually asking or wanting to say. It's a bit like the old adage, pick your battles. Make sure that what you want to say is clear, appropriate, and you're saying it to the right person. Take explaining to someone that they really need to wear deodorant. You can't just stand there on the shop floor and say, "You smell." Perhaps first try complimenting on days when they do wear deodorant. "Oh, you smell nice today." This works well in academic life as well. If you don't normally like the way your supervisor provides feedback and then they deviate one day, you can directly say, "Oh, this is a really helpful way of doing feedback. I'd like it if we did it more often." Obviously, this means you're waiting passively to see if things change on their own, which is not always the most helpful or productive way to go about things. Being honest with people is normally the best way to have a difficult conversation. Someone not wearing deodorant was actually an indicator that there were much bigger issues going on at home, so it was really important to have that conversation, even though I felt like I was going to be sick beforehand. And with supervisors, difficult conversations can be even more difficult because of the power dynamics at play. You may feel that your supervisor is an all-knowing deity who you couldn't possibly confront, but this is so often not the case. Trust me, I know how you feel. I once asked my supervisor about a passage and they quoted it to me in Latin and told me the exact page and line number. Talk about making me feel inadequate. If you sit down with your supervisor and say, "Would you mind if we spoke about feedback styles?" It seems like such an easy sentence, but it's a really brave first step. You have to remember that both you and your supervisor want you and your research to be a success, and that knowledge should make difficult conversations easier. Just remember to avoid accusatory language. Don't sit there and say, "The feedback you provide is unhelpful. I don't understand your feedback." If you can find something that you like, bring that up first and suggest that more of it would be helpful. You can be quite abstract and say something along the lines of, "I don't think we're quite on the same wavelength at the moment. Would you mind taking some time to explain a few things to me?" Make notes of the key points you want to make so that if you get flustered, you don't forget what you really want to say or start to ramble. Having difficult conversations does get easier with practice, and having difficult conversations with your supervisors, especially early on, can really help you build a better and stronger relationship.